What's up? I'm the Empathetic Chicken, and I'm here to talk about a topic. I don't know why, but I just been having like a lot of, I guess, like revelations when it comes to like love. And I'm even like kind of cringy saying it because like I've always had like a little conflicted relationship with love, and had a lot of shameful feelings around my feelings and stuff like that. But I mean, I feel like through those feelings I've come to like those revelations or whatever that I'm going to be talking about. So hopefully somebody gets something out of this, because like I just keep feeling like I should talk about it. I feel like the camera is like really close to my face, like in this setup, but it's okay. Like, let's get up close and personal for this, because near and dear to our hearts, you know? Nah, but for real. I don't know, I was just doing like a reading the other morning, and like the cards that came out, like just started like, there was this like pouring of like little insights. So I was like, I gotta like take some notes on my phone so I can talk about this on my channel, because I feel like maybe it could help some people, or just like give you something interesting to contemplate if you're like me and like to just think. I mean, I like to think a little too much sometimes, but like when I'm thinking about interesting things, it's not so bad. So however this, like, you know, whatever purpose it serves for you, like hopefully there's something in it, like whatever, getting to the point. So basically I want to talk about like self-worth and like how we sort of like define that through relationships with other people. And I might focus on like, I guess, romantic wise, because I mean it's just, I don't know, it's just like been the focus for me lately, just because like I left a long-term relationship, and like so I've really been like pondering like the lessons that I learned from it, and like just kind of learning to see myself through a new lens, and just like realizing how I define myself like through that relationship, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm gonna be focusing on. Like, not saying that like other relationships don't play a role in this, like what I'm about to say, but just so you know. So basically I've noticed that I mean, it's probably not a secret, like you've probably noticed it too, but like we tend to like base our worth on like other people's approval of us. And like we seek partnerships because we're like, oh, I need this other person to make me feel wanted and like valued and complete within myself. Like I need someone else to like confirm that I'm worth it and that there's something good about me. And I'm not like free from that either. Like I said, like in my other like relation, or my one and only relationship, I just like, I was young, so I'm just saying, like I was like a teenager when I met this person, and so like I didn't really know. Hold on, I feel like I'm running out of time or something. Alright, we're cool now. Sorry, I had to delete some stuff. But back to what I was saying. Like, I was young when I met this person. I was still in like high school. And like, I don't even know how it like progressed, but like, somehow ended up being in a relationship with this person. And like, it just started off on rocky ground. And basically, like, without telling everything, the details, I came to like define my worth based on this person like not initially choosing me like in the beginning because he liked my sister. So like I just carried that story the whole time. Like even though I ended up with the person, like I just couldn't let it go that like I wasn't like the first choice. So like I let like an outside influence determine my value, if that makes sense. I'm not saying it was right, but I am saying like it's easy to get caught up doing that, because I feel like the I guess like society that we live in sort of encourages that. Like it just pushes this kind of idea of lack, and like we have to have something like outside of us to like make us better. Like I don't know, I'm gonna just use like capitalism as like the source, because I mean we're basically like, you know, selling ourselves, like our labor and stuff, and like we're being sold to, like, you get what I'm saying? Like all these advertisements and stuff are like showing us what we don't have, like the illusion of what we like need to be like whole and complete. But I mean it's all an illusion just to like make money, really. I mean, not saying that some things aren't like beneficial, like, or that these things aren't valuable that are being offered, but it's just like there's this kind of like twisted motive behind it. Like, I don't know, without calling out like companies or whatever, like franchises, like certain franchises like use, or pretty much every ad like has like this underlying theme, and it kind of like tries to play off of like our emotions, or like, you know, get a rise out of us and just get us to like, you know, want the thing, like, or feel like we need the thing so they can make a sale, you know? So we sort of like, I feel like we kind of apply that in other ways. Oh, this is hard to explain, and it's not, but it feels like it. I feel like I was going somewhere and it left me, but I have notes, like, nevertheless. Yeah, so basically, like, I'm gonna just use, like, I had in my phone, like, a certain fast food place that, like, has commercials where, like, it's, like, happy family, like, they're chilling and eating, and, like, it's just, like, the perfect little family dinner or whatever. And so basically, like, by showing that commercial, they're saying, like, subliminally, like, hey, if you buy these freaking hamburgers, you're gonna have this good old jolly time and have connections and all that. And I guess, like, another, like, a better example is, like, the beer commercials. Like, you know how they always have, like, the dudes, like, chilling on the beach and, like, they're drinking the beer, and then, like, all the ladies are, like, flocking around, like, ooh. You know, like, the subliminal message is, like, hey, buy this beer and then, like, you'll be cool and the women will like you. So it's kind of like that. Like, it's an illusion that's being sold to you, but it's like for an ulterior motive. Like, it's not really for you, it's like for the sales. So where am I going with this? It's a lie to get something in return. And I feel like we do that, like, with relationships. We sort of like establish these like conditions, like, you need to do this and this and this in order to make me feel loved. Like, it's kind of like transactional in a way. Like, we're kind of trying to hold these ideals, like, God. It sounds so much better in my notes, but I don't want to just like read my notes because that's boring. But yeah, I will read my notes because it's alright to read my notes. I said, it's a lie to get something in return. Basically saying to someone, be a lie, something you're not, and only something I want. Only something I want you to be, so I can feel secure in myself. So it like has that ulterior motive to like boost yourself, like by demanding this of another person. It's like, it's for your own like sense of security, but like really you don't need that. It's just like this false thing that you've created, this false ideal that you've created. Like, things have to be a certain way so I'll feel like secure in myself, when really like that's coming from a sense of like insecurity, and it's false. Like, you're good enough without it. You just believe that you're not because of the society we live in, where like we always need something like outside of us to like make us feel whole. I hope I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying. No, I hope I'm like getting somewhere with this, because in my head it like clicks, but when I try to speak it, it doesn't. Maybe it is. We'll find out. So it's sort of like people like are always trying to have like the upper hand in a relationship and kind of like be in control. So they set these like standards, like, hey, this needs to happen so that I'm good. Like, it don't matter how you feel. Like, I'm not saying like we intentionally do this, but like that's the vibe we're giving off when we're like so particular about how things need to be. We're not like leaving space for like the person to be like who they actually are. We're just like projecting this like image that we've seen, like, because I mean we're bombarded with like all the little perfect relationships on the TV and like whatever we like absorb through like our like external environment. Like we kind of use those as like models to compare our stuff to, like, and we think like it's easy to think like, oh, I should have that. Like that's what it is. Like, you know, we define stuff based on what we see around us, which isn't necessarily like the only way that things have to be. So yeah, so I have the need to control comes from a false sense of lack. It's basically saying I won't be okay if they don't do this, and it's basically not trusting yourself. Like, it's not believing that you're enough already, because like you're putting the power in someone else's hands to like, you know, prove that to you when like that ain't how it's supposed to be. Like, they can't do it. Like, really, it doesn't matter what someone else does or doesn't do, like, if you already don't value yourself. Because I mean, that's another reason, like in my situation, like for years, even though I like got the relationship that I wanted, I still could not like let go of the story that like, oh, I was second best, like he just settled for me. So I mean, I wasn't realizing like my value. I was putting it in his hands, like, and just, you know, it just wasn't working. So like until I was ready to like reevaluate that belief and that view of myself, it wasn't gonna change. It wasn't gonna matter like what he did, because I was still like giving him the power, you know? Like, it just, I had to like put it back. And I'm not blaming anybody like for anything. Like, I'm good. I'm not blaming myself really, because I was the culprit, like, that defined my whole like, you know, existence based on that little lie. But yeah, back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Yeah, so I mean, I know that like, I think another reason that we define our worth like in the way that we do is because like capitalism kind of forces us to like sell ourselves. Like we basically have to be like useful to society, and I'm not saying like that's a bad thing, like that we have to like offer up like our time and our skills and stuff, like our contribution, like it's not a bad thing, but it just kind of like, I guess it has the potential to be like harmful when it feels like that's the only, like, you know, like that's the only thing that makes us deserve to exist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're not like considered useful or valuable in like a certain sense, like that might make us feel like we're not good enough or we don't deserve this or that, like whatever. So yeah, our worth is based on what we provide for others, our usefulness to society. So basically like we have to earn it, and we don't already like deserve whatever. Like, we don't deserve to feel like valued just for like being, you know, being here. Like, I'm not saying that's true, but I'm saying like that's kind of like the mindset that's easy to get into. Yeah, so one of the things that I've been kind of learning and putting into practice is like seeing my situations as like a reflection of my like internal thought process, like feelings. I'm not saying there's anything new, but for me, like really starting to like understand how like my mental, like how I'm thinking about things and perceiving things is actually like gonna color like how my life goes. Like, I guess like whatever, however I'm defining like what's going on is gonna be like reflected to me. Like if I'm thinking the worst, then I'm gonna see the worst. Like, and if like it's just kind of, it seems like really simple, like so simple to the point that it feels like impossible and stupid. Like I don't know, I even feel like weird saying it because I feel like some people will say that I'm just saying like, oh, just be positive and, you know, change your mindset and all that stuff, like, which I'm kind of saying, but I'm not saying that like things, like painful things don't happen and that we shouldn't like feel like the full spectrum of emotions, because I mean things ain't all hunky-dory, like they're not. So basically I'm just saying like we experience things, like whether you want to label them good or bad, I don't really like those labels, but some things hurt worse than others. So like whatever, you know what I'm saying, like the contrast of existence, like it exists. So like things are gonna happen, but I mean it's up to you how you choose to like define those things and like move forward after having them happen, like, you know what I'm saying. So I'm learning to sort of like shift whatever happens to me in like ways that don't feel so painful, I guess, because I feel like a lot of the pain comes from like this false sense of unworthiness within myself. So whenever like I'm hurt or something, I try to just like, oh, I mean I feel it obviously, but like after the fact I try to like, I guess like reframe it in a way from a perspective of like feeling whole within myself. Like I don't know, like say, let me just use an example. Say like I text somebody and they don't text me back. Like my little first instinct would usually be like, oh, it's something to do with me, like I'm wrong, like I should have never reached out, like, you know, I should be like ashamed that I even tried. But like I think there's a lesson in that, like that I can gain, and it's basically like, why am I like automatically like attacking myself over this, like when I don't even know what the person's dealing with, like they might be doing something. That made me sound like I'm such a desperate, like needy, see I'm doing it already, but like I'm not like sitting there like text me back, like, you know. But I'm just saying like after the time goes by, and even the fact that I'm saying this shows that I'm like self-conscious about it, whatever, like nobody likes to be ignored, but my head goes to like all the bad things and just like bashing myself about why there's something wrong with me. But instead of like choosing to like go along with that little narrative that I like to do, like I've noticed that I can like shift it and see that that is like an opportunity for me to see where I'm like not treating myself right, where I'm putting like the power in someone else's hands to determine like my value, when really like it shouldn't affect me that much. Like if it is, then it means that I'm like not putting my focus in the right place, like I'm putting too much power in the hands of an external source. Like, but really like it's a reflection, like I don't know, that's another thing, like there's this weird like mirror thing that I've been like realizing, and it might sound crazy, but like I'm realizing like the things that happen externally, I might have already said this, but whatever, are a reflection of like what's happening internally. So like if I feel like I deserve to be ignored, like if I'm thinking that horrible about myself, then I'm probably gonna get like a situation that reflects that back to me, because I need to like address it and like, you know, have a new approach. Or at least that's how I've been framing things. Like instead of going along with like the narrative of self-hatred, I've just been using it to be like, hey, this situation happened this way because it's showing you how you've been thinking wrong. Like, not saying we're wrong. Like, we just, I don't know. I feel like we have a tendency to like beat ourselves up and feel like there's something wrong with us just because of like how things like seem to be. I'm not even gonna say how they are, because like it's flexible, I think. So where was I even going with it? I don't freaking know at this point. So yeah, basically like it all comes back to self. Like that's what I'm realizing. Like however I'm viewing me is gonna be reflected back to me. So I mean, it becomes like a matter of like, how do I want to experience reality? Like, do I want it to be a miserable time? Or do I want to like actually feel like I'm worthy of having like a decent experience? That would be nice for once. Let's try it. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. Yeah, so I just have like, don't let outside situations dictate your worth or have you waiting around for change. Love yourself and it will be reflected back to you. By choosing yourself, you allow others to, because they're not put in a position to obey anyone else or earn their worth or acceptance. So basically, like, when you're saying that, like, someone else needs to, like, choose you or whatever, or, like, you might not say that, that's what I said. Like, when you're, like, demanding someone be a certain way for you, then you're not accepting them for who they are, either. So you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like a rejection. It's a double rejection. You're rejecting yourself and them. So it's like, how you expect them to like accept you if you're not willing to accept them? Yeah, and then I have unconditional love. Like, that's another thing. Unconditional love. I've been having that freaking lesson illuminated for me too. Like, it's so hard though, like, because I want to have low expectations. But anyway, I said unconditional love is loving things as they are without possession, control, or expectation, which applies to you too. Like, don't be holding yourself to no standards, like harsh standards, because that's usually when you're gonna be disappointed. Like, I think any ideal, like, ideals are cool. Ooh, excuse me. Ideals are cool as, like, you know, they seem all perfect, like little happy ending in the movies and little perfect crap, but it's all false. I'm sorry. It ain't reality. So like, don't be putting that stress on yourself to achieve like something that's like fiction. Like, it's a projection of like somebody else's idea of what's perfect, and it's not yours. It don't have to be yours. I mean, you might value a certain like image of like a partnership or whatever, but like at the end of the day, it's only like an interpretation. It's not like, you can't expect to have that exact thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's just a limitation if you let it be. Like, so I got, don't withhold the love for yourself just because someone else doesn't seem to be choosing you or showing up how you'd like. Expectation usually comes from a false need to fill a void or prove your worth from an outside source. Once you see you, others will truly see you, the actual you, and not the false self seen through the lens of fear and inadequacy. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna just throw this in here. Don't live for other people. So if you like stressing, trying to meet somebody else's like little standards, it ain't gonna work. I'll just tell you right now. Hopefully something in there was like helpful or like made sense. I'd like to like talk to someone about this if you like got anything out of it. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, or like if you had other insights or things that you feel like you don't agree with. Like, either way, like whatever you got to say, like, I'm open for dialogue. Like, you know, I just felt like I needed to like share this message because I've just been thinking a lot about these kind of themes and feel like I've been learning a lot. So yeah, this is where I'm at. But yeah, I'll be back with another video eventually. It'll probably be a reading, or like if something like this happens again where I just feel like I'll just share some knowledge or something, like I'll be back too. But yeah, I'm gonna quit rambling now. I'll be back. See you. Thanks for watching.